or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
As America's #1 motorcycle insurer, Progressive has your back.
Oh, like roadside assistance.
Oh yeah, Progressive offers that.
Great. Do you have plans Saturday? My cousin canceled and I'd love to have someone to ride with.
Actually, we just do insurance, not riding buddies.
Cool, let's meet at noon. Actually, scratch that. 10 a.m., you and me, breakfast at a diner.
To be clear, Progressive has your back for insurance only. So get a quote and see if you can save.
Okay, so if you beat me there, get me the Lumberjack special. We can share.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Roadside assistance may require comprehensive coverage.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
Got your tax refund? Don't blow it. Upgrade it at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Get into a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $7,000 in rebates or 2.9% for 48 months. Or into a 26 GMC Sierra 2500, $1,000 rebate or 4.9% for 48 months. And the 26 GMC Acadia 2.9% APR plus $750 in rebates with GM Financial. Your refund won't last, but a new GMC will. Stop by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or visit hurlchev.com.
With NWKS Radio News, I'm Lucas Kenny. The USD 315 Colby Public School Board of Education will hold a special meeting on Thursday, April 23rd, starting at 7:30 a.m. at the district office located at 600 West 3rd Street. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss personnel. The public is invited and encouraged to attend this meeting. In other news, the Kansas Department of Transportation began a resurfacing project on Monday, April 20th, along a portion of K-23 in southern Gove County. Project work includes milling and overlay on approximately 17.5 miles of K-23 from the Lane County line to the south city limits of Gove. KDOT expects work to be completed in mid-June, conditions permitting. Traffic will be reduced to one lane through active work zones and directed by flaggers in a pilot car during daylight hours. Motorists should plan for delays of up to 15 minutes. Keep up to date with all the local news at nwksradio.net.
Today, we got a red flag warning in place for counties along the west of the line from McCook to Leota. This afternoon, we have southwesterly winds at 15 to 30, gusting to 40 miles per hour. A dry line along the Kansas-Colorado border may trigger some scattered late afternoon and evening severe storms. Large hail, damaging wind gusts, blowing dust, and dry lightning igniting fires are all potential risks. Tonight, mostly cloudy with south-southwesterly winds 15 to 30 miles per hour and lows in the mid-40s. A cold front will move through tonight and tomorrow. Severe storms will be likely east of the area. Northwest winds of 15 to 30 miles per hour might return critical fire weather conditions. Highs will be 70 to 75 and lows around 35. Friday will be cooler with highs in the mid-60s. Some scattered showers and storms are possible, mainly along and north of I-70. And again, lows will be around 35. This meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
It's the spring show, of the Girls' Day Out this Saturday in Oakley. 2 buildings at the Western Vista Complex and Logan County 4-H building in Oakley. Free admission, concessions, over 100 booths and outdoor vendors, a lot of specials going on. Things you can win, like the duck hunt is back with even more prizes. They'll have that train going back and forth between the 2 buildings. A lot of specials. It's this Saturday, come and go, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Girls' Day Out in Oakley at the Logan County Fairgrounds.
Here's a bright idea. Streaming without buffering. It's not 2014. There's no reason for laggy internet and buffering shows. IdeaTech has the technology. It's fiber optic cable. IdeaTech has brought high-speed fiber to 75 communities and counting. Don't put up with outdated internet. Streaming without buffering. Another bright idea from IdeaTech. Get fast, modern IdeaTech internet at ideatech.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Need a porta potty or septic pumping in Northwest Kansas? Call Topside Portables and Pumping, your local family-owned crew. They've got clean, reliable toilets for weddings, farms, and job sites, plus full septic services, RV waste, fertilizer tanks, and more. Available 24/7, because when nature calls, they answer. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. Reliable, local, clean.
You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
There is a benefit to building a team and keeping it together for the length of time, but that does not happen anymore because of the portal and NIL and money.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
It's gone! Watch it fly! Jack Caglione! His first big league home run!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work.
A little bit there in the third as Cure turns on one and hits it down the right field side. That is a well-hit ball, and it is going to clink off the wall. That ball was absolutely spanked. Cure racing around second. He's into third. He slides in there with a stand-up leadoff triple.
Guys have fun. And home runs are fun. There's a big fly to right at the track, at the wall. Josh Dykoff can touch a ball. It's a 2-run homer. And Kansas storms in front 6-4.
Here comes Garcia. Nobody's covering home. The Royals win. Wow. On a wild pitch, the Royals flush their frustration.
Taves keeps it alive. Shot towards the net.
Thrown in front. Landon Scott scores! Oh, Captain! My Captain! With 3:35 to go in the third period. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, this is a tie hockey game.
It's a tie hockey game. Hey, good Wednesday morning, everybody. Off and rolling here on another edition of the Morning Blitz, April the 22nd. And boy, a beautiful morning outside the KLOE studios here in Goodland. Let me tell you what, a beautiful morning. Just one of those spring type mornings, Garrett. You walk out, the sun is shining. It's only 55 or 56, but it's way better than 26. I'll take it any day.
Absolutely, yeah. Yesterday it almost got too hot. Yesterday it seemed at times it was like 80 plus, and I was sweating just getting in the car. But I could use a little not as hot, I guess, today possibly. But
yeah, it's gonna still be a nice day today, no doubt about it. Temperature is going to be in the 80s again. But yeah, it was a warm day yesterday. It was one of those at coverage of Goodland Cowboy baseball down in Ulysses, and it was a hot day. I mean, but it was one of those days you want to play baseball. And, you talk about from a pitcher's perspective, it's hard to kind of get warmed up and heated up to kind of let it rip, and get it, you're an upper, mid 80s thrower and you're trying to get into the low 90s. You got to get that got to get that sweatiness going. It was one of those days you could get going like that. It was warm enough like that. So, no, it was a nice warm day down in Ulysses. Had fun covering a Goodland Cowboy baseball, even though they came back with a couple of losses. But yeah, warm day yesterday, warm day today. Much more wind today. Yesterday wasn't a whole lot of wind. There was a nice breeze. But today we're going to have plenty more wind out here on the high plains with gusts up to possibly 40 miles per hour. There is a chance of some storms, particularly if you go further east. You might be in the epicenter of all that where you're at. There could be quite a bit of storms.
I did see that, yeah. Possibly later tonight, some thunderstorm showers. Who knows? But hopefully it
avoids us until like later on in the night, possibly like more in the morning of tomorrow.
Yeah, you have to park the Charger somewhere safe. You might have some 2-inch hail. Got to be careful about that.
I don't got a garage. Well, I do have a garage, but we got 5 roommates. We don't put any of our cars in there. That's just a more hangout area. So
it's the third living room or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. That was one thing that I really had a tough time figuring out when I moved out to Western Kansas was all these people had like 1-car garages and like, we're just going to turn it into a living room. And I'm like, really? Where I'm from, you put your car in there. That's where that goes. When I moved out here, that was an interesting adjustment point for me.
You can set up a TV, put a couch in there. It comes your next man cave.
It does. It's like King of Queens. He's got the ping pong table in there. Does Heffernan and all that stuff. So yeah, great stuff. You ever seen King of Queens? Or am I talking completely to someone who doesn't know what that is?
No, I know what it is. Kevin James in it, right?
Yeah.
But I really haven't watched it much, but I've seen some clips.
Yeah, he has the big, he got this humongous television from his wife. In the very first episode, he gets this humongous, it's the old box TV, the perfect square TV, but the big ones that sat on the floor, the huge ones. And anyway, you probably don't remember what those were, but anyway, he got one of those from his wife. Well, then he also had to take in his father-in-law. And it was going to go in the basement was this TV. So then he had to not only haul it down, but then he already had his father-in-law moving in with him. So he had to haul it back upstairs and he got put out in the garage. So that's where the big TV set was, out in the garage for Kevin James in that show. So anyway, we got lots to get to on today's program. We're going to talk more Kansas State basketball. And we talked that yesterday in the first segment. We're going to get to more of it with our K-State basketball expert, Ryan Gilbert. If there's a guy who covers KSU basketball any better, there's not many. Gilly does a great job. He will join us coming up here in segment 2 to talk about the transfer portal class and the first team that Casey Alexander is assembling. By the way, K-State got another new guy yesterday added to the roster. We'll talk to him about that. So we'll get some info from Ryan Gilbert as the basketball transfer portal continues to figure itself out. The Royals win. They finally win. Your dad was happy yesterday. They snapped the streak of 7 in a row.
Absolutely. I should have texted him after the game. I haven't talked to him since they won, but man, they almost blew it. They gave that 2-run home run. It was in the 9th, right? The 2-run home run.
I'd have to go back. I think it was. I'll have to go back and look. I admit I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. Once again, I was traveling back from Ulysses, but yeah, they get a 6-5 win. They hold on to beat and snap an 8-game skid, I should say, to the Royals. We'll touch more on that coming up in our third segment with some other baseball talk. But boy, yesterday, not only do we have beautiful weather, but it was a beautiful day for local sports. And boy, we had a busy day of that with baseball, softball, track and field, plenty to get to on edition of the Front Page.
Read all about it. Read all about it.
The top stories of today.
I got the early edition, hot off the press.
It's the Front Page on the Morning Blitz.
Front Page, really?
First edition of the Front Page for our new co-host Garrett Wellbrock. So we'll take this in stride here. So yes, we talk about the Blitz, kind of our headline segment here on the Morning Blitz, and very newsy day yesterday, particularly in local sports. What a day it was for Colby High School baseball and softball. They both pick up sweeps yesterday, and with those sweeps both remain unbeaten and remain atop of the GWAC standings. Colby baseball and both Colby teams should say taking on Hugoton yesterday, with the baseball team hosting Hugoton while the softball team went to Hugoton. Colby, we'll start with baseball because it had a great side storyline in it. Colby taking game 1 8-0 over Hugoton behind a 14 strikeout no-hitter from pitcher Braxton Withington for Colby. Braxton is having the type of season that earns you the GWAC Player of the Year type of honors. He's having that kind of year is Braxton Withington. Have you ever had a no-hitter in your pitching career?
Okay, I have a story about that, actually.
All right, awesome. Story time. I love it.
One game, I was throwing a no-hitter. It was 6 2/3, 1 out left. And my coach, who was actually one of my good friends, he's not too much older than me. This was in summer ball. He decided he thought it'd be funny to pull me out with 1 out remaining. So he yanked me.
Oh, my God.
6 2/3, no hit. The next guy comes in, he threw 1 pitch, and we got a combined no.
Oh, okay. What was up? He thinks it was funny?
He thought it was funny. He still sometimes will talk about it. How he pulled me.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not a huge fan.
I was going to say, that's awful. That's terrible. Coach, I could have thrown that one pitch. We could have got this out. Jeez. Yeah. No, Braxton Withington yesterday with a 14 strikeout no-hitter. What's the max amount of strikeouts you ever had?
Man, I don't know. Maybe I don't think I've ever gotten that many. That's a heck of a game. That's almost striking out. That's 2/3 of the batters.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's insane. No, I would probably say maybe 10, 9 or 10.
Yeah, that's a good. I would take that number any day too. Now, 14 strikeouts for him. Braxton Withington has been the recent great pitcher we've had out here in the Northwest corner. I think the other one prior to that was Cole Linton of Goodland. He's fantastic. He's pitching at Cloud County, which is where Braxton Withington is going to go. That's kind of been a little bit of a great spot for pitchers to go and develop at the JUCO level. But yeah, 14 strikeout no-hitter from Braxton Withington as the Eagles take game 1 8-0, and then they completed the sweep with a dominant win in game number 2. And so Colby sitting atop of the league standings, 10-4 overall, 6-0 in the GWAC. Their 4 losses have come to teams that I'm guessing Garrett knows quite well, like a Russell Victoria as well as Hayes TMP. Those were the 4. Why in your opinion, since you're kind of been over there and seen that, why are those 2 programs, Hayes TMP and Russell Victoria, been really good at baseball, particularly the last handful of years?
Well, I think the Russell Victoria is good because the Victoria has a couple of players that can help Russell because they do they combine the schools. And I think those kids come over and I mean, Russell's got a solid squad, but they might need a couple pieces to add in there. And, the Victoria kids filled those out. And in Hayes TMP, they've got a really good senior and junior class right now. They have a junior pitcher, Ty Schmeidler. He's going to Kentucky.
Yeah, I saw that.
When he graduates, he's already committed there and he's throwing low 90s, I think, right now. And he's, I don't know what his ERA is, but it's really good. And they've got, I think, 2 hitters hitting over 600. Their catcher, Caden Dinkle, he's going to be joining Braxton at Cloud County next year. So for being a 2A school, or 2-1A school, I guess, for the baseball standards, I mean, they have a loaded roster. I would imagine they're going to play in the Hayes Diamond Classic, which Hayes High hosts here in a couple of weeks, early May. That'll be their biggest test to see if they could finish undefeated or not. They'll play some 5A, 6A schools. But, yeah, I mean, going to be a great season for them nonetheless, and probably another trip to state.
Okay, I have a question. The Hayes Diamond Classic, what is that? Is that a 4-team deal, a 6-team deal? Is it a bracket style? How does that work?
That's a good question. I when I played, it was like 4 or 5 teams, and we did this as a round robin tournament, and then whoever ended up with the best record won it. But I don't know if they've changed it at all. I haven't been out there in a while. I might be covering it actually to do Hayes High games, filling in for their broadcaster, but I'm not sure what it looks like right now. It's usually been that just round robin tournament where everybody meets here in Hayes, and it's like 2 or 3 days, and everybody plays 3 or 4 games, and yeah, whoever wins most gets the winner of the tournament.
That sounds entertaining to me. I'd go sit and watch that. That'd be some good baseball for sure. So anyway, Colby, a sweep yesterday of Hugoton in baseball as well as softball, 13-2, 14-0 in 5 innings. The Colby Lady Eagles take care of the Hugoton Lady Eagles yesterday down in Hugoton. Ryler Carter, the pitcher for Colby, another great performance. She struck out 22 over the series to power the Lady Eagles to now 11-3 overall, and they remain unbeaten in GWAC League play. Also great performances from Sadie Cheney. I think she had a 3-run homer. Morgan Hills, who's been fantastic out with the bat. I think she went 4 for 5 in a game, stole 5 bases. I saw they post that. So great performances from Colby. They continue. But, yeah, the big story is Colby baseball and softball both sitting atop of the GWAC standings with perfect 6-0 records after their wins yesterday over Hugoton. Goodland softball with a good day yesterday. The Cowgirls picking up some steam after a slow start. They're back to 500 with a sweep of Ulysses yesterday here in Goodland at Ray Dye Field. Cowgirls taking game 1 10-1. I thought the stand-up performance was from Margot Carmichael, the junior. She had 4 RBI in that game 1 win. But she wasn't done. In game 2, she said, I want more. And so her and Ellie Everett combined each to hit a homer, and they each drove in 5 runs. So each had a homer and each had 5 RBI in what was a 16-0 win in a game that was over in just 3 innings. That game got over so early that when baseball got done at Ulysses and we were leaving town to head back to Goodland, we were probably only 3 miles outside of town when we saw the Ulysses van coming back for softball.
Those are not the worst games, though. As the broadcaster, if you're calling that, you get out
you're
early.
right. That's exactly right. From the broadcast perspective, this is okay.
Yeah.
At least we got this over with so we can get home in a decent time. But no, from the softball perspective, wasn't great for Ulysses, but the Cowgirls really played good yesterday. Like I said, they're 6-6, and they have now gotten 4 consecutive GWAC wins to get to 4-2. And this is how the Cowgirls have kind of done it many years that I've covered them. You know, they start the year off and they play maybe one league opponent early. Usually it's Colby. And Colby's been very good the last few years. And then they take on like TMP and Garden City and bigger schools with way more of a talent pool to draw from, you know, and they kind of get beat up a little bit. And then they come back and they play schools more their size, and then you start to see them kind of find their success, which is what happened with Cowgirl softball yesterday. As I mentioned, I was down there in Ulysses covering baseball, and the Cowboys were swept by the Tigers 15-3 in 6 innings in game number 1, and then 10-0 in 5 frames. I know the game sounded lopsided, and they were, but they weren't like those games. You ever been in those games and broadcast those games where you're just like, God, can we please throw a strike? Can we please just get an out? You ever been in those games before?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many you even get at the college level. You know, when I'm calling the 4-day state games, where it's just like, man, pitchers can't find the zone, and that's just the worst. I mean, for everybody, you hope that the pitchers can just fill up the zone and there's actually action, not just a walk fest.
Walks, hit batters, all that kind of stuff. It kind of got a little bad in game number 2 with that for Goodland, but Ulysses, I give them a lot of credit. 2 things stood out to me about the Tigers yesterday. They have 2 bats in the lineup that are just different. They are big human beings, and they swing a mean piece of lumber, even though it's metal. But, I mean, they go out there, and Alex Hostetler is he was an honorable mention all-league player a season ago. He swings a heavy bat and is really good. And then the cleanup hitter, who is he'd be your typical first baseman designated hitter. Big guy, probably 6'5", 6'6", got away 250, 60 pounds. Edric Hernandez, he absolutely swings a monster bat. He had a one-hopper off the fence that left the bat at 89 miles per hour, and then he had a 3-run homer to win game number 1 with a 3-run bomb. He absolutely smoked. I saw pitches that left the bat yesterday at 86, 88, 89, and 90, which were some of the hottest ones I've seen hit this year in the high school game.
Dang.
So it was impressive. The Ulysses really hit the ball well, and the Cowboys, unfortunately, visiting with Coach Avalar pregame, you see, we really worked hard on our defense during these last few weeks of practice and really trying to get that ironed out. And tell you, the first inning, the Cowboys had a couple errors, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And that just kind of unfortunately happens where things just don't go the way you plan it, and that's what goes. And you can't blame the field conditions. I got to give a shout out to Steve Carruthers, who is in charge of the field down there at Ulysses. I was told at Dick Christ baseball complex there in Ulysses, that thing was immaculate. It was really, for a high school baseball field, that thing was as flat as a table, and it's all natural surface. The mound is in impeccable shape. It just is an impressive piece of landscaping out there. The grass looked pretty good despite, the limited rain that we've gotten out here in western Kansas. I was impressed by what they'd done there at Ulysses. That field was in fantastic shape. But the Cowboys, unfortunately, come home with a pair of losses, 15-3 and 10-0. Both those games ending before the 7-inning mark. One more baseball stop here. Colby Community College baseball dropped their midweek contest at McCook yesterday, 14-4 in 7 innings. Trojans are now 17-30, heading into a weekend series on the road at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. That'll be a tough 4-game series. Turner Zdunich, though, their top player, he was named the Jayhawk Player of the Week yesterday. He hit .556, 3 homers, and 9 RBIs, including a walk-off homer in a series-clinching win for the Trojans against Garden this past weekend. He was pretty darn good there. Let's see here. Scott City Relays. One more stop here on the diamond before we get there. Colby Community College softball and Fort Hays Tech softball in action today. Colby going to Seward, the Tech at home hosting Pratt. Tech Tigers trying to bounce back from a 60-0 loss. That's right, a 60-0 loss in softball. They are trying to bounce back from that this past weekend. Scott City Relays. Did you ever do track? Track? I know you're a baseball guy. Did you ever do any track?
1 year in middle school when I was in 7th grade.
What were your events?
I wasn't very good. I did long jump, and I was on the 800 and the 4x8 team. It was, not very good.
You and me are so identical because I was on the 800. I was the 800 and 4x8 guy too. So yeah, I was not very good either.
And those are usually the ones that they put. They're like, in my case, I was like,
no, it's true.
I'm not good at anything else.
Yeah, throw them
in the 800.
What was your best time in the 800?
And I don't even remember. That was that was almost 10 years ago, I think.
Well, it's been longer. I remember. I think mine was 2:18. I think is what it was. 2:18 was my best ever time. So not good. Not good. Not when guys are out there running 159s and 204s and whatever that was. Scott City Relays were dominated by Scott City. They took first place at their event. Scott City boys beating Ulysses 94.5 to 78 points. And Scott City girls beating Lakin 72 to 59 in points. Other girls, you had Goodland finishing in 4th and Colby coming in 5th. They were only separated by, 3/4 of a point in that. And then Colby finishing in 6th in the boys standings, while Goodland finishing tied for 11th place. Weskin had a good showing. They finished in 9th. Wallace County tied with Goodland for 11th. Oakley came in 15th. Some other area schools competing down there at Scott City. On the girls' side, you had Wallace County coming in 7th, Oakley 13th. So, some other good performances there from the other area schools at the Scott City Relays yesterday down in Scott. I saw this news a couple days ago, and I kind of got a tip on it a few weeks ago, but I don't like to go on just tips. But Colby Community College basketball has hired a new basketball coach. Yes, head coach Jared Stanford, friend of the program, was let go after this previous season where the Trojans struggled, which I admit I didn't really agree with that. I think they had a tough year. In the previous year, I thought they were pretty good and had a really good player in Eternity Iguaji, who went to play at Rice. And this year they just had a tough year. And but the Trojan men's basketball team now has a new head coach. They've hired Matt Glover to lead the program. He was at Fort Scott, been known for being a decent recruiter and has good player development. Says he's going to play an aggressive defensive style while building a culture of toughness and teamwork. I swear it's a canned answer every time you ask a coach. Coach, what's your team going to be like?
Honestly.
Well, we're going to be tough. We're going to play defense, be aggressive on offense.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I think every coach has the same basic answer. It's almost like the same after every loss, too, it seems.
Unless you're Siggs, unless you're Kurt Signetti.
Yeah.
Google me. I win.
More coaches should do that and just be honest.
Oh, my gosh. Coach, tell me about your team. Well, we don't really care about defense, so we're going to come out here and jack up about threes every possession. We hope to shoot about 70 threes a game, and hope to make about 35 of them, and we'll get to the line every now and then. But we really don't care about defense. We're going to go stand at half court and just not rack up the fouls.
Yeah, and then it's a short stint of a coach, if that's the answer, probably.
No, I swear, all basketball coaches say this. This is the truth. Well, we want to play really great. We want to be a really great defensive team, and we want to push the tempo. Tempo. I swear that's every coach. We're going to push the tempo and play with pace. Yeah, every coach says that, and then that's not what ends up happening there in that scenario. There you go. That is the front page here on the Morning Blitz with some headlines from around the area. Once again, probably the hottest headline once again was Colby High School baseball pitcher Braxton Withington, 14 Ks and a no-hitter. And on top of that, Ryler Carter for Colby High School softball, 22 strikeouts over 2 games in a sweep of Hugoton yesterday. So there you go. That is the front page. All right, let's get to a break. We're right at the bottom of the hour, 8:31 Central, 7:31 Mountain Time on a Wednesday edition of the Morning Blitz. Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com scheduled to join us next. You're listening here to the Blitz.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tyler Ghosh with the Andersons in Overland Park, Kansas with your morning market update. It is Wednesday, April the 22nd. Overnight sessions have commodities set to open higher. May corn is up 1.5 cents at 4.55 1/4. The July is up 1 3/4 at 4.63 3/4, and the December is up 1 3/4 at 4.83 1/2. Beans on the May are up 2.5 cents at 11.77. The July is up 3 1/4 at 11.93 1/2. November is up 1 1/4 at 11.67 3/4. Kansas City wheat on the May is down 3.5 cents at 6.40. July is down 3 3/4 at 6.52, and the September is down 3 3/4 as well at 6.64. Chicago wheat on the May is up 0.5 cent at 6.05 1/2. The July is up 0.5 cent at 6.13 1/4. The September is up 0.5 cent as well at 6.26 even. S&P 500 is up 40 points at 7,139. The Dow is up 274 points at 49,613. NASDAQ up 190 points at 26,824. Crude oil is up $1.60 a barrel at $91.27. Gold is up $45 an ounce at $4,764. If you have any cash, grain you'd like to move, or want to learn more about our freedom pricing tools, reach out and give us a call. You can reach myself, Tyler Ghosh, Jared Law, or Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. If you're out in Colorado, give John Hankey or John Stiles a call at 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
This is Officer Jones calling for backup.
10-4. Location?
Craver back 40. Looks like we've got Palmer amaranth, kochia, some common water hemp.
Resistant weeds. Copy that. You'll need a good tank mix partner. I'm sending Tough 5EC.
Come out with your hands up!
Guys, we're surrounded. Crack down on repeat offenders. Add Tough 5EC to your post-emergence tank mix. Learn more at toughnweeds.com. Always read and follow label directions. Tough is a registered trademark of Belgian Crop Protection.
At Thrasher Foundation Repair, we promise you an experience so remarkable, you'll want to leave us a 5-star review. From wet basements to bowing walls, sinking concrete to nasty crawl spaces, whatever your home's facing, you can count on Thrasher to fix it right. With over 34,000 5-star reviews and 50 years as a local family-owned company, Thrasher is a name homeowners trust. Schedule your free home inspection today at gothrasher.com. Thrasher.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
We will talk a little bit more baseball, Royals, Rockies, and college baseball from last night coming up in our next segment, but it's a very busy time in the college basketball realm. It's portal time in college basketball. We touched on it yesterday in the first segment of our show, talking about K-State and Casey Alexander in his first year there, trying to figure out what he's going to do through the portal and pretty much rebuild this team from complete scratch. And there's no better man that's covering any better than the man at GoPowerCat.com. We welcome into the program. There would be Mr. Ryan Gilbert. Good morning, Gilly. How are we doing today, buddy?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us again. As always, appreciate your time and your phenomenal head of hair that you have all the time. So appreciate that.
This is bedhead you're looking at.
I know. It's not slicked up like you usually do. I know. You only do that now on game days, and that's okay.
Yep.
All
Special
right.
occasion.
Ryan, what is this time like to follow? What has this time been like? You've always kind of been the head of basketball coverage ever since I've kind of known you there at K-State. You've done a great job of covering the basketball program. And what is this time of year like? Because from your perspective, every year you're kind of watching a K-State basketball coach build pretty much a new team. What is it like watching that happen each and every year at Kansas State?
Well, under the previous coaching staff, it took months after months just to build a team. And Casey Alexander now, we're still entering late April, and he's got 12 guys on his roster. And so you look at 365 days ago, this time last season, that number was probably half of what it is now. And so Casey Alexander's gotten to work. Jerome Tang, I don't know if you want to say he missed out on guys. He was patient, what have you. Bottom line is it took him a lot longer to build those rosters. And now Casey Alexander, if he only has 13 guys, which I think is a real possibility, you only got one guy left to add. And so, this new staff has gotten to work, which I guess is surprising when you consider the fact that, they were not here in Manhattan until the middle of March. So it's been a month of some change, and they've gotten to work. And, now we're in the evaluation process of who K-State's gotten rather than, figuring out who they're going to get.
I would say like me and Ross talked about a little bit yesterday, K-State, they haven't really gone after the number one guys like the previous years where they got Coleman Hawkins and PJ Haggerty. But it seems to me that Casey Alexander knows the type of player that he's trying to get. And it might not be the number one or number two transfers, but they've put together a pretty good transfer class.
Yeah, there's not going to be any bona fide stars. I mean, somebody might emerge, but based off of who the staff has gotten, it doesn't seem like there's going to be that one head of the snake. There's not going to be that one guy who's making a lot more in NIL compared to the others. Now, it was easy to get behind Coleman Hawkins, PJ Haggerty. There's a lot of hype, especially when somebody's produced at a high level before. And, this is really a 180. Now, you can look at that two ways. Number one is, there is no real true success at the highest level in college basketball on this roster. A lot of guys are making a step up, either in terms of production or just in terms of simply where they came from at a lesser school. Now, Alexander's bread and butter is supposed to be here, eyeing that talent, developing guys, the diamond in the rough when nobody else saw it. Now, there's no true way to know that. We're going to have to wait until games start to know whether or not this group of guys can check that box. But you look at what's happened on the hardwood in collegiate basketball, it's not promising. But Alexander's time after time, you look at these guys who are going to, Duke, Tennessee, that came from Belmont in his program. It would have been nice to keep them. I'm sure we can talk about this. That's maybe a little alarming, certainly frustrating that nobody's following him from Belmont in terms of players, but NIL has been not as much as it should be, I guess. It's been about half of what Jerome Tang's was in Manhattan. And so is that Alexander's fault? No, but it's the fact of the situation is that, he doesn't have a whole lot of money to spend with.
Ryan Gilbert is our guest from GoPowerCat.com. What's the thing that stands out about the guys that he has gotten to come? Like when you talk about skill set on the floor, you mentioned already they are guys that maybe don't have as much experience. They're playing a level up. But what stands out to you about the guys that he has brought into this point in time?
I'd say the common theme is just it seems like everybody's based more off of potential. And, we talked about the production or lack thereof. And, there's a couple of guys who were former four-star recruits, and everything is based off of the future. Now, of course, there's a couple of guys who are coming in here with just 1 year of eligibility left, but Alexander is trying to build that program and lay that foundation. And when you look at some of these guys who they've added, if Kansas not successful in year one, but there's that roster continuity, I think you can live with that. But if K-State struggles and everybody leaves, you're thinking, oh boy, here we go again with something that's not healthy, something that's not sustainable. But I've given my predictions on our message boards at Go Power Cat. I've obviously gotten some heat for it, but at the end of the day, whether you think they're going to go 18-0 or 0-18 in the Big 12, he does deserve a chance to play those games in the Big 12 and prove that he can develop that talent that he did for many years at Belmont. Now, winning the big game was a separate story. He couldn't win the big one at Belmont, therefore a lack of NCAA tournament success. But he does still deserve a chance here in Manhattan to show that, hey, I can look at these guys out of the portal when nobody else did.
You talked about the NIL being a little less this year than compared to the previous ones. Do you feel like that's because of the results that the NIL isn't as big? The K-State just doesn't want to give as much to this new coach as they did to Tang?
Yeah, I know some of the big money donors feel burned, and it's their money. You can't ever tell anybody what to do with their money, but a lot of money was given to your PJ Haggertys and Coleman Hawkins of the world, and for it to produce back-to-back losing seasons, the money I wouldn't say is dried up, but a lot of that money has gone to football. And so if Alexander has a couple of good successful seasons, that money certainly could come back. But Casey Alexander is not necessarily a fundraiser. He's not a big social media guy. He doesn't necessarily care what anybody thinks of him. What I think, what you guys think, any fan out there, him and his coaching staff they're putting their head down and going to work. Whereas Jerome Tang, to his credit, was really good at uniting a fan base and filling seats early on. But once you found out that social media was such a priority and that was such a emphasis and not actually coaching for he and his staff, that's where they ran into problems. But early on, he could get you to buy in, but was it worth your investment? No, not at all. But Alexander's not even, I guess, going down that avenue, right? He's not the rah-rah guy. It's probably not a coincidence that Kansas State goes from a hire like Tang, who's all charismatic and energetic all 24/7, to a guy like Alexander, who's just maybe more humble, putting his head down, steady, and just going to work.
We're visiting with Ryan Gilbert from GoPowerCats.com. He joins us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream here on this Wednesday, talking Kansas State basketball. New head basketball coach Casey Alexander's brought in 12 guys now through the portal, and pretty much what's been a build from scratch type of deal. Gilly, you look at the roster, and I talked about, there's a couple things that stand out to me. One is, when Coach Alexander in his press conference said, yeah, we're going to look for guys that can shoot the ball. I think they've gotten quite a few guys that can shoot the ball at all lengths and sizes. And then speaking of size, they've got 3 guys over 6'10", and you're never going to turn around. You can't teach size. That's God given. And they've got 3 guys over 6'10", even a 7-footer. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's interesting. You don't have to have the big guy in college basketball now. If you have good guard play, you can minimize that and negate that and work around it. But I'm not sure how to say this, if your bigs aren't like truly elite, like, Zach Edey with Purdue a couple years ago, that's great. But when they're not at that top level, you have to be careful, because you don't want somebody clogging up the paint and doing some of that stuff that a big man might. But you look at like some of these bigs that Kansas State's added, they're going to shoot the ball. And for Casey Alexander, all 5 guys on the court, he wants them to be able to score at any given time. So a traditional, big man, right? Ugonna Onyenso, Jarrell Colbert, Will McNair, some of these guys that Kansas State's had in its program over the last couple of seasons were not gifted in terms of scoring, or couldn't go out and get their own bucket from the top of the key, right? You give them position down low, they can post up, they can go to work, but not somebody truly that can create points like that, just because they're not the cream of the crop at that position. But you're looking at probably some more versatile 7-footers is probably the best way to put it with Casey Alexander. Of course, you can do some stuff down low with that size, but getting out, playing to the point where anybody can score, that's what Alexander wants, and that's the versatility you need from those guys at that position. Now, this could be said for anybody on the roster. Very true for the 7-footers. Not a lot's been proven, but JT Rock, for example, TJ Otzelberger knows what he's doing. He comes from Iowa State, redshirted, spent another season there, goes down, didn't play a whole lot, and so that's where I guess some of the skepticism has come in, with just, for example, there, and that kind of encapsulates a lot of these moves, right? There's skepticism. They've got to prove something at the highest level. But if you're a former 4-star, you played at Iowa State, you played at Duke, Virginia Tech, these guys have played at some big time schools. They just didn't necessarily play 35 minutes a game and score 15 points a game. Other coaches have, I guess, seen it, hasn't worked out. And so we talk about the eye for the talent, but also developing that talent is something Alexander has to do in Manhattan.
I feel like at times when K-State was playing throughout the season, especially last year, like there wasn't much structure on the offensive end. It was just kind of go out and play, give the ball to PJ Haggerty and pick and rolls. It was just go play 5-on-5 basically, like you would in your pickup gym over on Main Street or whatever. Do you feel like this year is going to be completely different, where Casey Alexander is going to have more structure on offense?
Boy, I hope. I mean, it was not to kick a guy on the way out, but it truly was a 5-out offense, which, to put it simply, it is go out and play. That's what Jerome Tang's offensive philosophy was. He fell in love with Keontae Johnson, Marquise Noel, two guys that were really freaking good at going out and scoring on their own. And for some reason, he thought that was the way he should run his program from that point on. And so, yeah, it was literally just free flowing, go out and score, not a whole lot of set plays. And unless you have, I'm talking somebody better than Coleman Hawkins, better than PJ Haggerty, it's not going to work in the Big 12. The league is just so tough. You have to have balance. Other guys have to step up, especially when somebody has an off night. And so, just because I sit here and say, yeah, Alexander wants to have everybody on the court be capable of scoring at any given moment, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just going to be a free-for-all, go out and get your own buckets. But yeah, this coaching staff seems to be much more cerebral. And we talked about a minute ago, Alexander's putting his head down, going to work. That permeates. That's a good way to describe the entirety of that coaching staff. Whereas last coaching staff, you had a top assistant who didn't coach, and he was a social media hype man who waved a towel game after game. And so they're getting to work here, and there was a lot of flaws, but offensively, State didn't have a good offense under Jerome Tang, a good offensive system under Jerome Tang. And so should be a 180 here, and maybe not John Wooden's offense, but should be a step in the right direction for this program.
Ryan Gilbert, GoPowerCat.com, joining us here on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on the Morning Blitz. Any thoughts on the latest edition, Timotej Malebek?
Is that how you say it, Ross?
I have no idea. That's my guess.
I was going to say the guy from Slovakia.
Timotej Malebek is how I would say that if it looked at me. Timotej.
Sure. I guess some our 24/7 database has him as Timo. So there's no extra letters. Maybe we'll do that and make it easy on us. But no, he comes from Miami. Again, not a lot of production. And if you just want to base it off of what a guy's done in a collegiate uniform, well, not great. But he's an overseas guy. So Andre Kostic now has himself a European buddy on the roster. I did point this out, that comes from Miami, that won 26 games. What was it? I think 13 games in the ACC, and then won an NCAA tournament game. Now, didn't play a whole lot. His role wasn't significant on the team, but he brings winning experience. And for a group of guys that probably hasn't won a whole lot, that helps. But take a step back, Garrett and Ross, look at the program. Kansas State just needs winners, here, right? Back-to-back losing years. It's been bad. And so just to lay that foundation, he's got 2 years of eligibility left. I know he's only played one at Miami, but he's a 21-year-old, and so I think he's only going to have 2 left just with his age and in the NCAA. But, that's the type of piece that, you want the foundation to be laid in many different areas, and it has to be evened out. But, the winning area matters, and certainly a box that he checks, Ross. He checks it. I don't remember his name. He checks it.
Yeah. Timotej
checks it.
Timotej Malebek. I don't know. We're going to see if that's right or not. Before we let you go, you got about 60 seconds here, Ryan. You got a chance to watch a little bit of practice for spring football with Colin Klein. What were some of the takeaways from watching some spring ball real quickly?
A lot of stretching. Thanks for having me on. We didn't get to see much, unfortunately.
There was more than that. There was video evidence. There was more than stretching. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, true. I did kind of out myself there with those highlights that we had, but yeah, there's some sights and sounds we put up on our YouTube channel. Go check that out. But how do I say that? They don't ever give us too much when the cameras are on when we're allowed in there. But energy's high. I could say all the stuff. They're checking all the boxes, but if I wasn't saying that, there'd be a big problem. So everything seems to be going well. It was pretty high energy, but I wouldn't want to read too far into what we saw, unfortunately.
Understandable. Ryan Gilbert, GoPowerCat.com. Gilly, it's always great to see you, my friend. Thanks again for getting up with us. Appreciate it. I know these mornings are hard for you, so thank you so much for sacrificing, and we'll talk to you down the road, okay, bud?
Yeah, we made it through. We didn't have to snooze, so we're here. Thank you, guys.
You the man. See you, Ryan. Ryan Gilbert, GoPowerCat.com. Great stuff there from him here on the Morning Blitz. It's fantastic. Thanks, Gilly. Let's get to our final break. We'll come back. A little bit of baseball to wrap up the show. The Royals win. The Royals win in walk-off fashion. So anyway, they get it done nonetheless. We'll get to that next here on the Morning Blitz.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber-A's Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber-A's Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber-A's Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
At F&B Bank, we believe local businesses are the heart of our community. That's why we're more than just your bank. We're your neighbor, your customer, and your biggest supporter. From the corner cafe to the hardware store downtown, we're walking the same streets, shopping the same shops, and investing in the same future, yours. We're here, we're local, and we're always in your corner. F&B Bank, banking built on community, member FDIC.
It's the spring show, of the Girls' Day Out this Saturday in Oakley. 2 buildings at the Western Vista Complex and Logan County 4-H building in Oakley. Free admission, concessions, over 100 booths and outdoor vendors, a lot of specials going on. Things you can win, like the duck hunt is back with even more prizes. They'll have that train going back and forth between the 2 buildings. A lot of specials. It's this Saturday, come and go, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Girls' Day Out in Oakley at the Logan County Fairgrounds.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Got your tax refund? Don't blow it. Upgrade it at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Get into a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $7,000 in rebates or 2.9% for 48 months. Or into a 26 GMC Sierra 2500 $1,000 rebate or 4.9% for 48 months. And the 26 GMC Acadia 2.9% APR plus $750 in rebates with GM Financial. Your refund won't last, but a new GMC will. Stop by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or visit hurlchev.com.
Whether it's touchdowns, home runs, or buzzer beaters, we've got you covered. It's the Morning Blitz.
Thanks again to Ryan Gilbert. Great to have him on the program. Always a fun conversation with him. Missing that, check out our podcast. We've been having some issues with our podcast page. I just realized that here yesterday, but we are getting that. I'm getting it fixed. I'm working on it. So we'll have the podcast up and running operational here shortly. Baseball yesterday, the Royals win in a wild pitch walk-off. They win. Michael Garcia scores. You were right there. Garrett. Adley Rutschman with a 2-run homer in the 8th, which gave the Orioles, who were down 4-3, a 5-4 lead. But then Michael Massey, a homer in the bottom of the 8th to tie it back up at 5. And then Garcia scores on the wild pitch. So it was a wild inning, but the Royals finally snap an 8-game skid.
Much needed if you're the Royals. I mean, you can't, I know everybody says, games in April, they matter, but at the end of the day, like you play 162, you can afford to lose a couple in April, but you can't get too far under 500. The Royals, they needed this one, and they got a chance to, I believe it's only a 3-game series. So chance to win the series today.
It's hard to win the marathon when you trip over the starting line and hurt your face.
Yeah. That's a light way to put it too, honestly.
It's hard to get back in the race on that kind of thing. So it's hard to get, they've dug themselves a hole that they got to do a lot of winning to get out of. And that's going to be a hard thing to do. But the Royals will take on the Orioles in the rubber game of that series. That's this afternoon. And you can listen to it on AM 790 KXXX, our sister station. That is a 1:10 Central Time first pitch there on KXXX. The Rockies, they lose a low-scoring affair, 1-0 to the Padres. It was pretty much just a run in the sixth. When it was a walk, a bases-loaded walk that allowed the Padres to come in and score. Colorado had the last 18 batters retired in a row.
That's impressive. I mean, to play in Denver and
to have that lowest score,
to only have one run, like that's supposed to be an offensive park. What's happening?
I don't know. Chase Dollander, though, relief pitcher for the Rockies, deserves a lot of credit. He was their top prospect for the last couple of years. He's out of Tennessee. He's a dude, and he pitched great. He's pitched great this year. But Dollander yesterday goes 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned with a walk and 9 strikeouts for Chase Dollander. So far this year, a 2-2 record, a 2.88 ERA with 32 strikeouts, a whip of just 1. He's been great. He's probably been the Rockies' best pitcher that works over an inning plus.
Oh, for sure.
Dollander. So that and they need him to kind of do this. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't feel comfortable starting a game, but usually what happens is they throw a guy out there for an inning and then they go to him for long relief. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Everybody's a little different though. It's kind of, there was a guy at Wichita State, I remember this year in basketball. He was the starting center for a little while, and he was horrible. And then they put him at the 6th man, and he goes and wins 6th man of the year. So it's kind of just like everybody's preference. Maybe it's the pressure of actually starting, and it is different because when you're starting, you have 2 to 3 hours to do your routine and get ready. But a bullpen, you just come and go warm up in the bullpen, throw about 20, 30 pitches, and then you go out there and you go. And so he's been a great bright spot for the Rockies this season, especially after a rough rookie year a year ago. He didn't have a good one last season, but so far it's been a really good April for him.
Yeah, we'll see. The Rockies have got some work. So they got some work to do. I don't know. You would think though, if you're gonna just throw one, you come up with a plan. Okay, so you're gonna start, but you're only gonna throw about an inning or two, and then we're gonna go to Dollander. He knows he's gonna go in early. Yeah. Whatever. Rockies and Padres play game 2 tonight, 6:40 Mountain Time there at Coors Field. In college baseball, Michael on the EpiBank text line says, Rock Chalk Ross, Kansas got the best in Nebraska last night, 9-7. But your boy Will Jeske with a highlight last night.
0-1 downhill. Swinging a hard hit. Line drive, base hit, left field. Will Jeske will not be denied. Carey scores. Huskers in the lead 4-3. 3 runs in the third.
That's all there was, though. All right, that was the only Husker highlight. Kansas came out and smacked a couple home runs and late in the game, and they end up winning that thing last night by a final score of 9-7. Did you see the Hogue? It was packed.
Yeah.
Hoagland Park was packed last night.
They've been packing that place. Even last year, they started packing it. It's really good atmosphere. Now, that win gives them a pretty good shot. If they end up winning the Big 12, I believe they'll definitely be a host school for the regional. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. That wind was blowing out to left, and KU ran into a few balls and got that airborne. And
yep, it was over. Yep. So Kansas with the win. They sweep the season series with Nebraska 2-0. K-State also with the win last night, 8-3. All right, we got to get to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off three? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
I forgot to mention K-State star D. Kennedy, by the way, broke the record for the most home runs by a non-senior, I think. 17 home runs he's hit. Within a home run he had against Grand Canyon, an 8-3 win for the Wildcats. So there's a quick look at baseball. But I was looking at some scores in the baseball thing, Garrett. Cal State Fullerton has a record of 19-20. Cal State Fullerton. I mean, that was a powerhouse baseball program for many years. And boy, NIL and the transfer portal has absolutely killed Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great location. You're in California. You'd think you'd be able to get about anybody you'd want, but it's crazy. And it's funny. It's kind of vice versa with like Kansas and Nebraska because, I mean, they're Power 4 schools, but who wants to come to, Kansas and Nebraska to play baseball where it's cool and it doesn't get warm until late March?
You're exactly right. It's very true. Last night, the Avalanche go up 2-0. They win 2-1 in overtime to the Colorado Avalanche over the Kings, as that series will take a shift over to the West. Hurdle highlight there on the intro with Landeskog, go captain, my captain. But that'll do it for our program today. For Garrett Wellbrock, for Ryan Gilbert earlier, we say thank you again for tuning in and listening. We're back again tomorrow on a Thursday. Hope you'll join us for another edition of the Morning Blitz. See you tomorrow.